The other day, I was asked the question of which language was better, English or Portuguese, and my humble opinion is that the best of the two languages is English, because it is the most used language around the world, and the one that we have been taught since we were very young, just to have more opportunities to communicate.
That's interesting. I never thought about it. I honestly wouldn't know how to choose one, so I think I would like to know the opinion of Keylor.
Well, honestly, I have asked myself this question many times, and I consider that Portuguese is much more important today because in the workplace having English as a second language is no longer as special as it was few years ago, since it has been taught since childhood and is the most prioritized language by educational institutions. Most people already know the importance of speaking in and whether they like the language or not, they will do everything possible to learn it and companies will eventually no longer consider it as something special and will consider it something common among people seeking employment.
Okay, I think Keylor has a point, as it is true that English is very common nowadays, but what is your point of view, Andres?
My point of view is that even though English is not something special for the work environment, it is basically a very fundamental necessity to look for a job. Since Charlie said before, English is one of the most used language worldwide, besides being the official language in several countries. Besides, if you master the language, you have more job opportunities in international companies. And I'm not saying that Portuguese is not important, but English is so much easier to learn than any other language.
Also, what you are saying is true, especially because of that last thing you said about it being an easy language to learn is where I find one of the reasons why Portuguese is better since English is really not that easy to learn. Really, the ease of learning this language depends entirely of your willingness to learn it and your natural ability to learn it. While, meanwhile, Portuguese is a language that is easier to learn, especially if you speak languages similar to Portuguese, since its difficulty is not so much in its pronunciation, but more in its grammar. And not even that because you can really relate the words with the way they are pronounced. Whereas in English, there are many rules and words that can be complicated to pronounce.
No, I don't agree with your point at all, dude, because there are very vague arguments in what you are trying to say. Although it certainly depends on the disposition of the person. Learning English is easy because there are many resources from school to learn it in a more efficient way. While English is a necessary language even in other countries, such as Asian countries or even African countries, because thanks to it, they can communicate and look for more alternatives in their countries without the difficulty of learning another language such as Portuguese, which they would not be used to at all. And finally, many words can have very different connotations in Portuguese or how they are said, while in English, the meaning of the sentence can be given by only one word easily, and the rest of the structure would freely follow that meaning.
Well, we have to accept that both sides have strong and weak arguments, and they are also partly right. But nevertheless, I think that we should not lean to either side of the scale, since both languages bring us a lot in both work and social issues. And therefore, I think we should focus on learning both languages and not only giving relevance to one.
Since Eric put it that way, he's right. The truth is that both languages have their advantage and disadvantage. Besides the fact that the purpose of language just is to communicate, and both languages serve that purpose.
I think you are right. Both languages are important, and rather than focusing on one, we should learn both.
Yeah, you really convinced me with those arguments, and it seems to me that learning those languages would help us a lot. And well, now I have to go because I have a meeting.
See ya, Charlie.
Bye, Charlie.
Goodbye, Charlie.